Disney is being sued for a movie that came out 8 years ago?
You've been served. Have a nice day.
I don't like you!
Rogue One, a Star Wars story released in 2016, and to this day, it's still one of the greatest Star Wars movies to ever be released. However, it was also one of the first times deepfake technology was used to recreate two characters in Star Wars. Princess Leia, who appears at the end of the movie, and Grand Moff Tarkin. Tarkin's first appearance in Star Wars is in 1977's A New Hope. He goes down with the ship when the Death Star explodes at the end of the movie. However, Tarkin was played by Peter Cushing, who sadly passed away in 1994. 22 years before the release of Rogue One. And now, 8 years later, in 2024, there is a big issue.
You made a big mistake. Huge!
There it is.
As a film company out of London named Tyburn Film Production is suing Disney for the use of Peter Cushing's image in Rogue One. Now, how is this possible all these years later? Why did Disney not get the permission to use Peter's image? And what does this mean for the current situation going on at Disney with the passing of Ray Stevenson, who played Baylan Skoll in Ahsoka Season 1, and Carl Weathers, who played Greef Karga in 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, and most recently, James Earl Jones, who passed away just a few days ago, who of course is the voice of Darth Vader. Disney being sued right now for using the image of Peter Cushing in Rogue One is going to be huge for all future deepfake and recast situations in the Star Wars universe. So first, let's start with why now? Why didn't they sue Disney 8 years ago when Rogue One was released? Why did it take this long? Well, that is because Disney and Lucasfilm did ask permission to use Peter Cushing's image, but they asked the wrong people, kind of. They asked Peter Cushing's estate, his family, if it's okay if they use Peter's image in this movie. And they said yes, and we got Rogue One with Grand Moff Tarkin. It seemed like everything was gonna be okay. But come to find out, Tyburn Film Productions in London says that they had an agreement with Peter Cushing before he passed away that gives this film company the ability to veto any recreation of his image with the use of special effects. So Disney and Lucasfilm tried to do the right thing, reaching out to Peter Cushing's estate, but apparently it wasn't enough. Now you might be asking,
Mike, what about Carrie Fisher? Grand Moff Tarkin wasn't the only character that was recreated by deepfake in that movie.
And you are absolutely right. However, at the time, Carrie Fisher was still alive, so she actually gave permission herself to use her image. Now, this company suing Disney becomes a way bigger issue, because moving forward, you are going to see more deepfakes. You are going to see more characters brought back to life in Star Wars. But Disney can't keep getting sued for every last one of them. So something has to be put into place to stop this. So that brings us to last summer. The writers and actors were on strike for many different reasons, like streaming royalties and all that stuff. But one of the biggest things was AI and deepfake technology. Actors and actresses want to have control over how their likeness is used in TV shows and movies, which makes sense. So the strikes that went on over last summer did get a lot of that done, making sure that actors and actresses had the rights over their own images. But that brings us to today, where we have 3 different Star Wars characters currently in the same situation as Grand Moff Tarkin was 8 years ago. The first of which being Baylan Skoll. Ray Stevenson gave us an incredible performance in Ahsoka Season 1 as Baylan Skoll, a brand new character that fans immediately fell in love with because of Ray's performance. However, sadly, Ray passed away before Ahsoka was even released. And now, with Ahsoka Season 2 going into production next year and most likely being released in 2026, Baylan Skoll's character is still going to play a major role. As at the end of Ahsoka Season 1, we leave him standing on top of the Mortis God statues, possibly going to free Abeloth.
What I seek is the beginning, so I may finally bring this cycle to an end.
So he's clearly going to play a main role in the upcoming 2nd season. So now the question becomes, do you recast Baylan Skoll or do you deepfake him? And that brings us to our second character that's going to play a major role in an upcoming Star Wars film, but sadly the actor has passed away. And that is Greef Karga, played by the late great Carl Weathers. Greef is a pretty main character in The Mandalorian Season 1, 2, and 3. And now The Mandalorian and his little sidekick Grogu are making their way to the big screen, with The Mandalorian and Grogu movie being released on May 22nd of 2026. So it only makes sense that Greef Karga would be involved in that movie as well, especially because we left Din and Grogu on Navarro, which is the planet that Greef Karga looks over. Now, the difference between Baylan Skoll and Greef Karga is massive. Many Star Wars fans believe that Baylan Skoll will be recast. There's a few different options out there, but fans really love Liev Schreiber or even Gerard Butler. However, with Greef Karga, things are very different. We haven't had just one season of this character, we've had 3. And there are a few actors in Hollywood that look very similar to Ray Stevenson, just by chance. With Carl Weathers, it's really going to be difficult to recast the character and have fans understand what's going on. So one of 2 things is likely in this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Greef Karga dies off screen, or they deepfake Carl Weathers' face onto him. And if I were a betting man, I would probably say that they're going to deepfake his face. Maybe for just one scene, but they're going to do it nonetheless. And again, that brings up the Peter Cushing of it all. Will Disney be sued for bringing Carl Weathers back to life? Now, the third actor that just recently passed away at the age of 93 is James Earl Jones. Of course, the iconic voice of many different characters across cinema, but today we're talking about Darth Vader. Probably the most iconic character in all of Star Wars, Darth Vader has been a menacing presence since 1977. And even in recent projects, he has shown up time and time again, even though his character died all the way back in 1983. Now, this situation with James Earl Jones is a little bit different than Carl Weathers or Ray Stevenson or even Peter Cushing, because about 2 years ago, James Earl Jones retired. And with that, he gave the rights to his voice to Lucasfilm and Disney to continue the character of Darth Vader forever. James wanted his character to live on, even though he knew that he would eventually not. So if you were concerned about not getting more Darth Vader, that should be out the window. Actually, Vader's voice in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show isn't even James Earl Jones. Well, I mean, it is, but it also is computer generated. So every situation is different. Baylan Skoll is most likely going to be recast. Greef Karga will likely be deepfaked. Darth Vader's voice will live on forever. But Disney is still being sued by Tyburn Film Productions for the use of Peter Cushing's image in Rogue One. So it's very unlikely that we will be seeing Grand Moff Tarkin anytime soon in Star Wars. And there actually is a project coming out next year that Star Wars fans were hoping to see this iconic character. That is Andor Season 2, which releases in early 2025. We already know for a fact that Ben Mendelsohn is back as Krennic in Season 2 of Andor, but fans were hoping to see some more familiar Imperial faces like Tarkin, and now that seems very unlikely. Now, whether or not we see more Tarkin in the future of Star Wars like Andor Season 2 is completely up in the air, and it fully depends on how this lawsuit goes. If Disney wins, then we could see more Tarkin in the future, but if Disney loses, we may never see this character again, because Tyburn Film Productions is most likely not going to give back the rights to Peter's face after what just happened. But tell me in the comment section below, do you want to see more Grand Moff Tarkin? Now, currently there is no court date set for this lawsuit, and who knows if Disney's going to win or lose, because they did come to an agreement with Peter's estate for his image. I will keep you updated with all the news we get about this lawsuit, but Disney is getting sued for a movie that is 8 years old. But tell me what you think in the comment section about all of this. Do you think Disney and Lucasfilm are in the wrong or in the right? And how do you think things will play out with the characters of Baylan Skoll, Greef Karga, and Darth Vader moving forward with the future of Star Wars? Tell me in the comments below. And speaking of Ahsoka Season 2, there is a massive update for this highly anticipated second season, but I explain all of that in this video right here.